Yo, what is up, YouTube? Gonna be going over the trader cap that the trade I ended up taking up on Friday. As you guys can see, we're down 1,400 points. Like, shit is insane. But yeah, I'm gonna go over the trade real quick. Just starting off on the higher time frames, right? So what I noticed, right? You're gonna go into the week, right? Last week we printed this nice bullish candle. Ideally, you'd be looking for long still. But keep in mind we have this unfilled new week opening gap, right? Devil's Mark as well. Devil's Mark is pretty much a candle's low that has no bottom wick on it. So, very good draw liquidity because the market likes to be efficient and it doesn't like to leave areas where there's no, wick. So, and we also left this new week opening gap. We ended up tapping it on, right, this day, rejection up, which ideally in a bullish marketplace, we fill these new week opening gaps to then therefore push higher. So yeah, going into the day, definitely. I was pretty much bearish this whole week. That's why I didn't really participate in longs right here. So yeah, just starting off, right, to take shorts on all-time highs market. First of all, you have a good draw liquidity. You see, we have these nice lows, these low resistance lows, become a good short right here. But we pretty much ended up creating this down close breaker, or just this breaker, right? Nice close below, nice displacement lower, tapping back into it, and therefore rejecting off. And one thing you do want to see for bullish and bearish trends is to just watch how these order blocks are. Right, this is your breaker block, right, and then this becomes your order block. Right, this green candle right here. You can see we respect that. Same thing with right here, right? This is your order block. Respect it, push lower. So basically just confirming the trend. And then overnight, right? Just insane dump. This one I took the shorts on Thursday, ended up banking out. As you guys can see, I'll show you guys a P&L. But Thursday, right, banked down on the shorts, and then Friday, it's a very unfortunate trade. We'll get into it, but yeah. So dump. This pretty much confirmed that we're no longer going to go higher. Right, this is a very crucial point in price because we're coming back up to, like I said, the breaker. So this becomes your unicorn, right? Then it basically comes down to, where's your SMT, right? And you can see we pretty much have that SMT put in place up here. So now we have the breaker. Pretty much, if this was sponsored by SMT as well, so nice push below, tapping into the breaker, SMT. From here, ideally, you look for like an inverse. Or this is pretty much my model, but on the higher time frame, right? You have your unicorn entry, right, overlapping with the 1 hour for value gap. Pretty much all you're really looking for here is just an inverse for value gap. So pretty much inversed it, and you can see, what happened. I mean, this is quite literally insane. 1,600 points. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, so this overnight dump. Obviously, I don't participate in it because I only trade New York AM. So yeah, Friday I don't usually trade Fridays, but I'm usually just on to just watch the market because I'd rather be present in case an opportunity does show up, rather than being not on the chart, seeing an opportunity show up, and me not being able to capitalize on it because I was too lazy to be on the charts. So basically, I just need to be on the charts every opportunity I get. So yeah, today pretty much. We could just see we dumped at market open, right? We had NFP as well. One thing I was looking at too is you see we're respecting this 4 hour for value gap. Ideally, and then you can see London pretty much had this nice. You could call this a Judas swing up or reversing, right? And you could see that this reversal made sense, right? Pretty much a PO3, right? Accumulation, manipulation, tap into the 1 hour for value gap. Also forming an SMT at this high. So pretty much this is pretty much a London reversal, right? London makes the move. So ideally, when we create this model, you want price to, you pretty much want to look at the breaker, right? So this becomes your breaker. You can see we ended up tapping or closing below it, making this a breaker, and pretty much tapping into it right here, which I think it overlapped with the 5 minute for value gap. Yeah, so ideally for unicorn entry, this would be your entry. So right, overlapping this, This is a pre-market trade. This is pretty much, actually this is market open, so yeah. But yeah, this is pretty much the unicorn model. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution, closure below, right? Confirming a change in state, confirming the breaker. And then you're pretty much looking for the first fair value gap that overlaps. Right, we have all time frames go down, so or close below. So you're just looking for a fair value gap. After we close below, boom, fair value gap, short that bitch, and you see what happens next. So yeah, so obviously I didn't catch that because I wait, just a little bit longer. But yeah, pretty much dump right at 9:30 after tapping this breaker, and then pretty much all I'm looking for, we have a new week opening gap, or I think we had this previous week low on ES right here, and then the gap fills right here. Then on NQ we have I think previous week low down here, and then gap fill down here. So yeah. So right, pretty much my continuation model, and we pretty much just dump at 9:30. Don't really have the Judas swing. Is pretty much I just look for big move at 9:30, price to consolidate a little bit, tap into a 15-minute fair value gap, get some sort of SMT, and then pretty much just looking for your unicorn model, right? Breaker, ideally a fair value gap entry, doesn't always have to be a fair value gap entry, and then you'll pretty much enter somewhere in here, and then just So pretty much stay patient, right? We have equal lows now. At this point, I didn't want to trade today because we had a large overnight dump, but it just made so much sense why we should go lower here, right? Right when we took out previous week low, if we were to take it out on ES, I probably would have hopped off, but we made equal lows. So at this point, I'm like, bet this looks very freaking good. So, right, and then now you can see we end up making SMT at this 15-minute. I mean, I'm dropping straight sauce here, chat. Right, we never breached this candle high, so now we have SMT. Right, NQ is the weaker pair. You can see what happens in the weaker pair, right? Cool. So we have that now. Now you're pretty much looking for a breaker. This becomes a breaker right here. Right, we have a nice breaker here. But ideally, I look for like an actual order block, something like this. I don't really like breakers like that. Pretty much just went on the 2-minute, and then saw this right here. Actually, I think I entered on ES. Yeah, I did. Cool. So pretty much had this breaker here on ES. Right when we closed below, I pretty much had a limit here at the breaker. Ideally, I wait for a value gap tap, but because the RR was 2R or above, I pretty much take it. One thing that I messed up on this trade that I might start just implementing in my models is the only mistake I made here was not recognizing market conditions. Obviously, bias is super clear, but we had a large overnight dump, and then ideally people sit out for these type of days because it leads to an efficient price. So I should have known going into this that there is a high chance of price being not efficient. And what I mean by not efficient is us not really respecting fair value gaps, right, around my entry. That's sort of I've noticed, trading this model is, we will inverse these fair value gaps and not push higher. This is inefficient. The bias is super clear, but we're not respecting fair value gaps like we should. So pretty much entered here, stop loss above here. I really should have had, ideally, if you're trading this model, your stop loss should be above the swing high. And since one thing about my model too that I'm starting to implement is I can take these breaker entries if the swing high to my target is a 2R. So at that point, what's really the point of waiting here? You know what I'm saying? You're risking a 0.46R, and then you don't always get tapped for the unicorn entry. So I should have my stop loss up here. This was my target. This a new week opening gap. I would probably would have break even at this low, and you see this what it ended up hitting. So yeah, very unfortunate. I'll show you guys fills real quick because I'm not LARPing. I'm not bullshitting. Yeah, you can see it pretty much went short, right, 517, boom, right on the dot, and then end up getting out at 528.75. So I'm mad about it. Not really. This was just just unfortunate. Ideally, we respect these fair value gaps, but like I said, this market, at least for this profile on this day, it's just more inefficient. So stop loss ideally should go up here. So very unfortunate. We're still slightly green in the week, pretty much just a 1R, which I mean is totally fine. And if you guys were able to capture, trade today, good job. Just know you're never gonna catch the full piece of the pie, right? Unless you're trading with like a heavy size and you're super profitable, you're not gonna hold this longer, Big moves get payouts, and also small moves get payouts, and you're never going to capture the full move. So don't be upset if you lost. Don't be upset if you won. It all depends on how you followed your strategy. If you follow your strategy, good for you. If you didn't, that's on you. So yeah, I mean, I followed my strategy. It's just I just didn't really recognize the market conditions and didn't implement that as my stop loss. So I'm totally fine. I know I'm a good learner. I'm a good visual learner, and this is something I definitely learned from. Yeah, you guys can see the bias pretty much ended up playing out like insane. I've never seen a dump this crazy before. I think I had. I just don't really. It's just been a while, especially a retracement. So yeah, I'm just gonna go over now just bias going forward. Yeah, so bias going forward into the next few months. I think we could possibly get down and tap this 1 month fair value gap. High possibility. We don't have to because we have weekly fair value gaps. But for candle range theory, you can see we pretty much just swept up this high. And ideally, if we close inside this range, this is the low. So we have that. One thing I was noticing too is, right, this is your higher time frame trend on the 1 month, right? Because we have now pretty much like we were traced back into this order block, or I guess a higher time frame breaker, then pushed up. So the possibility too is us pushing back up into this breaker, right? The up move before the down move, pushing back down in here before moving higher, right? Order block, supply and demand, whatever you want to call it. So that's a possibility. Not saying that's going to happen, but what I do want to see is how we react from these weekly fair value gaps, right up in here. So pretty much going into next week, I'm looking at these lows. From here, ideally, you will be bullish, just because we're still inside the weekly fair value gap. You're bullish until proven otherwise. If we are to be, not respect these, we could easily come down to these weeklies, right? But you don't want to be super bearish in these, especially for a continuation trade like we had today. You're not going to be super bearish, but yeah, you're bullish until proven wise, and this ideally, this low, once we sweep it, is ideally where you want to be bullish. So we can probably both sweep it on both assets, accumulate, and probably get something like this, where I sweep out the low, get some sort of SMT, and then eventually push higher. So yeah, that's what I'll be looking at in the weeks coming forward. Don't be scared of anything. Just understand we're still in a bullish marketplace, and these down days are the best days to buy stocks, opportunities. You're never going to catch the top, never going to catch the bottom, but for long-term investing, this is a very good day to put money in stocks. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Hopefully you guys were able to learn something. Hopefully you guys were able to capture something this past week. Hopefully ended up green, and yeah, unfortunate, but I'm understanding how to take a loss, right? And I know that I always come back. I always come back. So not pressed about it. Pretty much just break even. You guys not able to see it, but pretty much just break even from getting the payout, which is totally cool, staying alive, and yeah. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have a blessed weekend, and I'll see you guys on the charts next week.